fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Hutch Sr.'s favorite ball player, Phillies legend Robin Roberts, is the number of the day. 36. That's 36 days until New Jersey's Back Bay striper fishery reopens on March 1st. I'm Jim Hutchinson Jr., New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It's Thursday, January 25th, 2024, and the countdown continues. Of course, with that baseball reference thrown in there, we're only about 20 days from the date that pitchers and catchers report for Major League Baseball spring training as well. Now, I've got a full update at the end of this week's video in about 10 minutes from now on the ASMFC striped bass discussion this week. But first, tautog, blackfish. That's still the top ocean fishery in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region right now. In calling around for fishing reports earlier this week, Monday, for thefisherman.com, we post the weekend reports at thefisherman.com every Tuesday. I learned from Fisherman's Den in Belmar that the only boat that sailed on Monday was the Ocean Explorer. Though I did speak with Greg Hewitt aboard the Big Mohawk, he told me he plans to continue to sail for blackfish through the end of this month, January, weather permitting. Nearby, Captain Ralph on the Last Lady in Neptune. He's running open boat Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So too is his Neptune neighbor, Captain Robbie Siciliano, who continues to sail his Smoke and Reels charters every possible day for tautog out of Shark River. Now, Robbie told me Monday he will continue to sail every day this season, all the way through February, if possible, as long as the anglers are there and as long as he's got a bite. And he'll continue to do that until the stripers show up in March. Common theme with a lot of the boats that are even taking a break at this point. They're saying, I'm just going to give it until March when the striper season kicks back into gear again. But you still have boats sailing at the Jersey Shore. Boats running out of Manasquan, Jamaica 2, Jamaica Paramount. Gambler is available. Norma Kay is sailing. I saw that Jamaica had a codfish on board. They had some cod trips recently. They're going to continue to sail for cod on some special trips throughout the weekend. Though I got to tell you, things get a little bit sparser the farther south you go. The Starfish out of Sea Isle ran her last trip until April over this past weekend, though I do believe Stray Cat Charters out of Longport, Summers Point, still running open boat for tautog down in South Jersey. If you're heading down into Delaware, of course, check in with the folks at Lewis Harbor Marina to see if any of the for-hire boats there at the marina are sailing for tautog. I know Lewis Harbor is open every day, weather permitting, of course, but you can head in there and see what's going on. In between those areas, of course, you do have the opportunity to score white perch or two in those salty rivers, the canals, the lagoons, and creeks. If you have a place on the water, Village Harbor, Beach Haven West, down into Mystic Island, some of the locations down into South Jersey, right? If you're anywhere near the Great Egg or around the Tuckahoe area, you might be able to score with bloods or shrimp, killies perhaps, just setting up a chair along your favorite stretch of river, of Salty Creek, and trying to get a couple of white perch in the mix. Last week I was talking about the skim ice was going to make it difficult, but with the weather conditions changing this week, I think there are opportunities to get out there and get into some white perch. I spoke to Akira at True World in Bayonne on Monday. He has bloodworms in this week, but participation there after the cold last week, as you can expect, was kind of dropping. He was still hoping to hear of a few Tommy cod catches mixed in with any of those white perch or striped bass bycatch. I will say, however, excuse me, that most folks that I spoke with in the northern half of the Garden State were already anxious about the start of the outback striper season, with many boats booking for the Raritan season starting March 1st or even the second week in March. I would expect to find a few of those charter captains this Saturday out at St. Cecilia's School in Island, New Jersey. Saturday, January 27th, that's the Raritan Bay Anglers 19th annual fishing flea market. It's running from 8:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. Admission is just $5 for adults, although kids 12 and under are admitted free. The address is on the screen. Details, of course, as always, are in the January edition of the Fisherman magazine. You can also call 908 494-0980. I will be there at St. Cecilia's with the Rare and Bay Anglers Club. I've got our table. I've got complimentary copies of the January edition. I'll be doing your subscription, giving out those complimentary goodies when you get a new or renewing subscription at the show. The 4-inch Tsunami popper, the iPop popper, and a $20 gift certificate for Surehold Marine Products for anyone getting a new or renewing subscription there at the Rare and Show at St. Cecilia's. Stop by, say hello. I look forward to seeing you there. You can also join us this week in New York City, the Javits Center on the west side of Manhattan there, Hudson Yards, just a short walk from Penn Station. The Fisherman magazine is there for the New York Boat Show. We are at booth 568. I don't think getting up to Manhattan for the show is in my cards this week, but I can tell you who is there. And that's the Fisherman's Jenni Ackerman, who is there on Wednesday and has this report from the New York Boat Show on some of the best boats that she saw while walking the show.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. We're out of New Jersey and in New York City at the New York City Boat Show. We're going to be checking out the hottest new boats, some new unveilings, and I just walked through. Listen, there's more boats here than there are plugs in the back of a surfcaster's beach buggy. I'm so excited to show you all. Now let's go. New from the Yamaha booth is the 350 V6 offshore 4-stroke series. Definitely something you're going to want to check out. I mean, look at this thing. It's a tank. You can get to the Blackfish grounds in no time. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the end of this video. We have a very special unveiling happening. So stick around, hang out, grab some popcorn as we go through the New York Boat Show. All right, so right now I am on the biggest robalo they've ever made, the Flagship. Now this boat is a mix of luxury and fishing extremes. You could be crushing it in a fluke tournament on this vessel and then cracking open some cold ones with your buddy to celebrate your tournament win. This thing is absolutely stocked with luxury, comfort, and everything fishing, and it can go up to 60 miles per hour. Oh my goodness, if I saw this thing drifting on the axle, you know they're gonna crush some fluke. Words cannot describe the luxury of the new 2024 Pursuit OS 405. It comes equipped with a Seakeeper, so even your seasick buddies have a reason to come out and enjoy a day on the water. I mean, just check out this thing. It's an absolute beauty of a vessel out here by Pursuit, new to 2024, so you don't want to miss this boat. Check it out. Family boating outings are very important, and this is an excellent vessel by Sailfish. It's a 226. It is a dual console, so you can have your kids hanging out back here as you're running through the canal, and they can take a seat up at the front and enjoy the view. Next up, it's not only just a great clutch song, we're here at the Regulator booth talking about the 26XO. Now, Regulator is known to be the home for offshore light, but check these out. The 26XO comes with jack plates, so you can get into that shallow water back bay fishing. You can have a nice offshore trip and hit up the back bays. On your way back in, this boat can do it all. Offshore tuna to back bay fluke, check out the 26XO Regulator. Some captains say 2 holes are better than 1. 2 holes here on this Royal Cat, the newly debuted 26-footer. Now check this out, ladies. You got the head right here. Look at this, conveniently spaced, not in the way. And for people like me who are always stuck sitting on the cooler, you got your own little seat for the cooler. Isn't that convenient? So next up is the 2024 Grady White Freedom 335. Now I'm just in awe over all the features on this boat. I mean, first as soon as you come in, you got yourself a little kitchen with a grill, so you can cook yourself up some nice pork roll, egg, and cheeses in the morning before you go blackfishing. Pork roll, the Jersey thing, you know. And there's so many more features on here. You got a fridge, a freezer, you have all this space, a lovely cabin to take a nap in coming back from the offshore grounds. Just so much space. A huge, basically full bathroom with a sink and everything. And you can come up here and enjoy a nice view on this awesome Grady White. Now we're on the biggest cobia being showcased here at the New York Boat Show. And check this out, I always love convenience on a nice fishing boat. You're not tripping over that bar on the tip top. It's built in, which provides more luxury if you have to use the head. They have built the bathroom deeper, farther back. It can fit someone who's over 6 foot in here with ease, so you're not worried about bumping your head or getting knocked around on the boat. Adding more luxury to the fishing game, we have this right up here. This centerpiece can raise up to be a table or even get raised up even higher. So those fly guys who like to stand at the bow of the boat can sight fish for those albies. And for those sunny days fishing out front, you got the sunshade to help support the fair weather fishermen and not get sunburned. So now I'm on the newest 28 Fisherman from Steiger Craft. As you know, Steiger Craft sponsored our Dream Boat Challenge, and just look at this beautiful boat here. Literally, I'm lined up like I'm ready to go blackfishing off this thing. This is a premier blackfishing boat, and for other species, of course, too. And if you love Steiger Craft, you're gonna wanna subscribe to the magazine and get in on the 2024 Dream Boat Challenge. All right, now it's time to unveil the new Defiance. In 3, 2, 1. So right now I'm inside the Defiance, opening this marine grade tempered door, a new feature to the Defiance, and the cabin houses 6 people in there. So you got a ton of space. You have in-floor coolers and a full transom door. So talk about an unveiling. This boat is something special, and definitely check it out at the New York Boat Show this weekend. A really cool feature that I'm gonna show you now beats up the hustle and bustle of trying to put the Minn Kotas away. Check this out. One click of a button, and the new Minn Kota Instinct does the work for you. At the New York Boat Show, remember to stop by the Fisherman magazine booth to subscribe or renew your subscription. You get some freebies. You get yourself a Tsunami iPop and a SureHold gift card, and automatically entered into the 2024 Dream Boat Challenge. Something you don't want to pass up on, the Fisherman magazine is your #1 fishing authority. So make sure you subscribe or renew your subscription. Come see us at the booth.
The next time you see Jenni Ackerman will be this Saturday at Grumpy's Tackle in Seaside for their big winter sales event. Seminars will be held throughout the day, January 27th. Surfcaster Shell Karras, he kicks off the seminar day at 9:30 with surf and jetty tactics. Dave Rooney, who I know well from fishing with Wags on Fin Chasers, he'll talk tog at 11. And finally, saving the best for last, of course, Jenni's doormat fluke presentation comes on at 12:30. The deals go on all weekend, Saturday and Sunday. But Scabelli is in the house Saturday morning, and if you want a shot at one of those exclusive plugs, the doors open Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Milder temperatures, which you know what that means. It's going to mean the line is going to be formed if you get there at 7, if you get there at 5, if you get there at 4. There's going to be people waiting in line overnight. Temperatures only in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees Friday into Saturday morning, so I expect it could be a rather impressive line there. Another event to tell you about out in Pennsylvania this week is the Early Bird Sports Expo at the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds Thursday through Sunday, with everything hunting and fishing and outdoor related. You can find details by visiting online at earlybirdexpo.net. I know a lot of folks there in Bloomsburg are going to be talking about ice conditions this weekend, what they'll be like heading up into the mountains, into the Poconos and upstate New York. But I did hear from New England editor Dave Anderson this week, who also does a video fishing forecast for the New England edition that you'll find here on our YouTube channel. Dave's friend Dan Southwick made the trip from somewhere out in New England to Northwest Jersey last week to target muskie through the ice, nailed this nice tiger. I know from talking to Joe at Fairfield Tackle and the folks at Ramsey Outdoors that there had been a little bit of solid ice in the northwestern portion of New Jersey last week during that bitter cold. But again, milder temperatures this week should leave you very cautious. The folks at Ramsey said the same thing, so did Joe. Just be very, very careful out there. For more on the freshwater options and some somewhat shaky ice conditions, let's check in with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Big changes over this time last week, guys. You know, temperatures have certainly warmed up. We've moved out of those freezing single-digit temperatures. But I'll tell you what, it did give us a chance to get a little bit of ice formed. And I know a few of the guys are out taking advantage of it. Now this week, guys, I'm telling you that with this warm up, I would not venture out on any ice at this point. It's going to be very kind of shaky. And again, it's not worth risking anything tragic over. Just get out and do a little fishing. We'll see if we have any weather in the future that will start to develop some ice. But a few guys did check in last week, and they did have some success on that limited ice. We had John Dorn checking in from North Jersey. He managed to get himself a beautiful 24-inch walleye on a tip-up with a shiner. So some good fishing up there in North Jersey. And who doesn't like a walleye through the ice? Also, Jonathan Schmallenberger, he was out in North Jersey as well, and he managed to get himself, believe this, 4 rainbow trout, 8 pickerel, got himself 5 crappie, and a whole mess of bluegills and perch up there in North Jersey as well. I mean, how was that for a great day on the water? You can't beat that. Congratulations there, Jonathan. Great work. Also, over here in Pennsylvania, some guys taking advantage of it as well. A couple of my good friends, Josh Taylor and Steve Koldnick, well, they managed to find some safe ice up in northern PA here and got themselves into a mess of monster crappies. Again, a great time on the water for that if you can find them, but hopefully we can get out and do some of that ourselves, guys. You know, it's hard to find. Hopefully we get some more ice this year, guys, but I know we have a very short season to begin with. Hopefully that's just not it, but with temperatures this week moving up even into the 50s, I just wouldn't try it myself getting out this weekend, but hopefully things will happen soon. Let us know if you get out on some of that safe ice. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
You know, I spoke to Jason at Fisherman Supply this week, who said things were very, very quiet last week in terms of boats sailing for blackfish or cod and anyone trying to catch striped bass out along the front beaches. Of course, Jason was also MIA last week. He was fishing in Los Sueños in Costa Rica. Now, a lot of folks go to Costa Rica for the incredible billfish action or maybe the rooster fish, but Jason dropped an 8-pound bonita down deep onto some structure. He said, I'm going to drop this live bait right here on the structure, and he ended up with a 50-pound or better Cubera snapper. Not too bad. The one thing I've talked with a lot of people who fish in Costa Rica is I think some of the bottom fishing, the structure, that deep drop, that's probably hardly touched. Everybody wants snook, rooster fish, or billfish. Jason and I kidded about that. We were also kidding about the fact that if you're heading to warmer climates this winter, the Florida Keys, the islands, Costa Rica, wear your home colors. A local tackle shop t-shirt, a tournament tee, bring a sweatshirt, emblazoned with the logo of your favorite for hire boat. It's always a great icebreaker wherever you go. Somebody might recognize it and say, hey, I know that boat, that's where I'm from. You find yourself sitting over cocktails with friends that you didn't have before just because you're wearing those colors. Also consider that many local tackle shops have many contests during the winter season as well for traveling anglers to show their colors. Steve and Carolina, Jingles in Beach Haven. Their Jingles Around the World contest is underway. They're giving away a $50 gift card this spring through a drawing of all the photos sent to them before April 1st with folks wearing their Jingles gear while playing away games this winter. Andy at Riptide. He's posted a few of his special tackle shop stickers. There's one on here, someplace here. He posts his stickers at locations throughout the Florida Keys. So if you stumble upon one, take a photo, go to the Riptide Bait and Tackle Facebook page, follow the directions. You could win a Riptide Bait and Tackle t-shirt this season. If you're on road games, pay attention to what you see. The Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, ASMFC, meeting this week in Virginia. And a big topic of conversation was Wednesday when striped bass was on the table. The ASMFC's Atlantic Striped Bass Management Board discussing the new addendum and all the stuff that we just followed over the last couple of months through the public hearings. There were a handful of folks in attendance at the Virginia hearing, approximately 200 people online for the webinar at some point, but the big discussion had to do with the low probability of rebuilding the spawning stock biomass of striped bass by the 2029 deadline, given the rate of mortality estimates, especially from the 2022 season. The strong 2015 year class of striped bass, in terms of these fisheries managers, it's integral to reaching this rebuilding goal based on the last stock assessment in 2022. Now, the ASMFC Striped Bass Management Board kicked off their 5-hour hearing. Yes, 5 hours. I sat through the whole thing, talking about what we talked about at the Fisherman magazine last week, and that was the dismal Hudson River spawning numbers from 2023, the dismal Young of the Year class stripers. In terms of answers why the Hudson River spawning stock, the Young of the Year survey were so bad in the fall, well, one DEC official who spoke at the ASMFC meeting this week, he said temperature and flows were about right. They were in the range, though plankton levels they think might be a little off. But they're going to continue to look at this research and data to figure out if they can find more answers as to why the Hudson Young of the Year recruitment, or the Young of the Year surveys in 2023 were off. He did say, this DEC official said, round goby, an invasive species, is pushing its way farther down the Hudson estuary. Now, the round goby is a hitchhiker. It's a European arrival that was carried over to North America in untreated ballast in ocean-going ships from Europe. They have talked about that. We heard it at the ASMFC, and I know down in the Chesapeake there's been discussion about channel or blue catfish also being an invasive species down there, which could have impact on these YOY results, Young of the Year results. Now, New Jersey's Joe Cimino says the Delaware River survey numbers, they've always been a little spiky, is what he said, but he felt the various environmental conditions impacting the Chesapeake and the Hudson are probably similar to New Jersey's section of the Delaware River as well. Now, the need for rebuilding striped bass, or the stock biomass of striped bass, it requires sacrifice on both sides, commercial and recreational. But it should be noted here, and we heard it frequently on Wednesday at the ASMFC hearing, quote unquote, over-harvest in the recreational community is the big culprit. And that, of course, comes from MRIP, the Marine Recreational Information Program, which is a sample survey of anglers by phone or mail, coupled with random surveys at docks, piers, and beaches. This whole striped bass debate is essentially all about MRIP. Now, enforcement personnel along the Atlantic coast had a meeting of all these options for recreational limits and commercial limits, and they offered their own opinion. Their consensus view on compliance was that regulations should be, quote, simple and accessible to all anglers. Possession, leaving after a vessel. If you're coming back on a for hire boat, right? You go down the dock and into the parking lot. The enforcement officers don't know if you're on a for hire boat or if you were just coming in off your own boat. So they said that it really makes things difficult to have a split mode with different limits for recreational versus for hire. And it's very much like MRIP surveys if you think about it, where if the guy's surveying you in the marina parking lot and he talks to you after you get off the dock, meanwhile the dockside, the vessel trip reports that the for hire captain may have coupled, you might have two differing sets of regulations, but of course I digress. The final options for the recreational fishery included option B, which was one fish from 28 to 31 inches, and option D being one fish from 30 to 33 inches. That's for all anglers. The other two options, as I referenced before, mode splits. Options C and D would have created different limits for private anglers than those anglers on for hire trips. You can forget about that option A on the screen. That one was a non-starter because it offered no reduction. Here's the way it went down. A preliminary motion for option B was made, which was amended by a second option for option C, implementing that mode split, different regs for private anglers versus for hire. Ultimately, that option, however, failed 9-7, so that reverted back to the original option of one striped bass from 28 to 31 inches, which is what we have now. That option passed, meaning nothing changes in the ocean striped bass fishery in 2024. It's as if none of the last 5 hours of my meeting time had actually happened. But this meshed pretty well with the public feedback and the comments received by the ASMFC, which overwhelmingly supported keeping the same measures in place for the entire recreational fishing community along the coastal states, whether you're a private angler or you're an angler on a for-hire boat. For reference sake, states that voted in favor of separate striper regulations for private anglers and for hire anglers, what they call the mode split, included Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and the Potomac River Commission. Voting against a mode split were New Hampshire, Maine, Virginia, D.C., North Carolina, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, NOAA Fisheries, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So the final vote on one striper from 28 to 31 inches passed with 2 dissenting votes, New York and New Jersey. Now, in terms of the anglers on the Chesapeake, that was a separate vote, separate motion, separate set of options. That's going to be applicable to all fishermen. They had actually 4 motions applicable to all fishermen, and then 2 other options separating the for-hire anglers from those who fish privately. Maryland's delegation pushed hard for this split mode, made multiple options to try to get the ASMFC board to pass that mode split. They all failed. In the end, there on the Chesapeake, which has various spawning restrictions and mostly smaller fish there than out on the ocean, it's 1 fish for all anglers, private or for hire, from 19 to 24 inches. So that's set in the Chesapeake. Again, no mode split anywhere you look. On the commercial side, a 7% reduction was also approved, which will require all states with a commercial striped bass fishery to modify their annual catch accordingly in 2024. There was a 14% cutback on the table, but because the existing management theory is that recreational fishermen are responsible for all of the fisheries problems we're having in this country, thanks to NOAA Fisheries and their MRIP program, the board voted 13-1 to cut the commercial cutbacks in half. So rather than 14%, here's the kick in the crotch. The commercial sector only has to take a 7% reduction in commercial harvest. And that was almost delayed until 2025. Maryland, Virginia, and the Potomac River Commission tried their best to kick the commercial quota reduction down the road into next year. But some semblance of common sense prevailed. The motion ended with a 7-7 tie, which means it failed. Thus, commercial quota cuts will be in place by May 1st of this year, along with the new Chesapeake regs. Finally, as for the New Jersey striped bass bonus program, consider there's no commercial harvest, no commercial sale of striped bass in New Jersey. It is a game fish. A portion of the unused commercial quota has been reallocated to the recreational fishermen in New Jersey through a tag program. You have to request a tag, you get a tag, that tag then has to be monitored and checked back with the state. In 2023, only about 25% of the entire 215,000 pound quota was utilized and the rest set free. That's using the unused commercial quota for the striped bass bonus program. Now basically, New Jersey asked the ASMFC management board to allow this program with a 7% cut to the 215,912 pound quota, of course, bringing it down to just over 200,000 pounds. They asked for this program to be continued without objections, and it was without objections. So New Jersey's striped bass bonus program continues in 2024. One final vote came at the 5-hour and 10-minute mark. Congratulations to Toby Lipinski, longtime editor and contributor to the Fisherman magazine, for being approved as a member of the Striped Bass Advisory Panel at the ASMFC. 5.5 hours, Toby. Have fun. A lot more to cover in this week's video fishing forecast than I could have possibly imagined. ASMFC. God bless Adam Nowalski and the rest of you guys for sitting through all of these management hearings as a volunteer and trying to sort through this mess, because sitting from my side, my eyes are bleary. 5.5 hours of striped bass management discussion. Now next week, the February edition of the Fisherman magazine hits newsstands, tackle shops, and subscriber mailboxes. I'll run you through that edition next week. Perhaps we'll also talk a little bit about the status of industrial offshore wind. Some things happened this week that I just don't have time to cover, and I've gotten a bunch of emails from readers and even members of Congress. So we'll talk about that a little bit next week as well. I hope to see you in Island this Saturday, the Raritan Bay Anglers Club, the fishing flea market. Stop by, say hello. Catch them up this week, and I'll see you again next Thursday right here at thefisherman.com.